Welcome back, designers, to Designing with Mark. It seems like it's been a while since we've been together. It's now nearing the end of January, and here in Massachusetts, it is frigid outside. And I don't know about anybody else, but I'm longing for spring big time. So, to help my spring desire and madness, I'm going to do some planting today. I'm going to plant some Paperwhite Narcissus bulbs and show you how the way I do them in stone. And an idea that I have that I'm going to try to support them, because as they grow, they can grow up to about, well over 12 inches tall. And they tend to flop a little bit as they start to bloom. So I have an idea to kind of keep them contained and not to flop. As you can see, I was hoping to have my amaryllis in full bloom. It had 4 blossoms on it for the last week and a half or so. And it's down to like 1.5 now. But as soon as that goes, I'll be snipping that stem, and hopefully a new one will sprout from there and will continue the blossoms. And if I have a little bit of extra time, I might even start planting my delphinium seeds. I always have to plant 2 types of perennial seeds every winter, which is, one is actually a biennial, foxglove and delphiniums. And this is about the time. It takes a while. They're slow to, foxgloves sprout fairly quickly. They're dust in terms of their seed. And the delphiniums are kind of a tricky plant to grow from seed. So we'll be doing that. So here we are, ready to begin. I like to plant my narcissus in stone and not in direct full water like some people do in vases, or in some kind of a potting mix. I like stone. So I have 2 pots. Now all these pots, believe it or not, even some of the little pots you see here on the table, are ones that I've collected over the years unintentionally. They really come from my students who send in plants at the end of the year, and I just hold on to the nice pots because they're really quite nice. My favorite of all pots being the long toms, I think they're called in England. And these, believe it or not, these 2 I got at Home Depot, of all places, for like $12, which really wasn't too bad because they can be expensive if you look on the internet, or to try to get it at a local garden shop. Anywho. So I don't know if I'm going to have enough stone, but this is the stone I'm going to be using. And I think I'm going to start, I think the last time I planted narcissus, which has been a few years, I used the red. So I think I'm going to start with this pretty trellis, white and blue bowl. It's a little deeper, and I'm going to place in and you want to just spread in just enough. This is probably about 1 inch or so. You don't want them fully submerged in water. And then you can pack them pretty tightly as well. And I like to place this part against the wall of the pot. These are all, at this point, these are all budding. Not budding, but they're sprouting. I want to put, I think I'm going to have just enough. May have do place 2 in the middle. And then just to hold them, I separate them a little bit. And I want to make sure they're standing tall, standing straight. And they have that security there. So they will not topple more than they already will do. And maybe I will have enough stone. Now, I'm going to also put a little bit of moss, decorative moss. So I want enough stone so that I can have water that'll reach the bottom part of the bulb, but not reach the top part of the stones, which will be touching the moss. Okay, so I think that will do it. Now, I'm not going to water this right away because I'm going to show you how I try to kind of place these upstairs. I'm in the basement, in case you can't tell. This is my garden center in a corner of our basement. Okay, so here's one, all done, ready to rock and roll. And I'll show you, I have 2 types of moss. One is that kind of like Spanish moss, which is like this. I haven't decided whether I want that type. And the other, this is kind of dried up, but that's it. I mean, it's still good. Or maybe something like that. I kind of thinking I like this. I may do one of each. All right. So this one is one done. One down. And you might be wondering why I have some other plants here on the table as well. I went out, and this winter is so cold, and so far, I mean, I've lived in New England my whole life. You would think that I would get used to these New England winters, but you never do. I'm a summer person, spring and summer. Give me the heat any day. Not these single-digit numbers. This morning it was something like 4 degrees out, which is not my cup of tea, to say the least. All right, now I have 8 to go into this pot. Now this is a wider pot, so they might be a little bit spaced out a little further. That's all right. That will still do. Well, welcome back. We had a bit of a glitch with the camera, and a day has passed, and I finished up planting the bulbs in the red pot, and they've been watered. And actually I brought them upstairs and placed them in some indirect light, and they've already started. I think a little bit of growth is being noticed here. I've put the moss on this particular pot. I still have yet to put the moss on this one. So while I do that, I'm going to talk about what I'm what else I'm going to be doing in this video. I have been out to the store today, and I purchased at my favorite store, Home Depot, some succulent plants. These are only 2.5-inch succulent plants, and I'm going to massacre the names on most of these, I'm sure. And I'm going to plant those in this pot here, which has been outside actually, and I'm decided to bring it in and use it. It has that beautiful blue cerulean kind of blue color to it. So I'm going to put all of those. There are 2, 4, 6, 7 of them in here. I've already placed some stone in the bottom, and as you know probably already, you don't need me to tell you, that succulents don't need a ton of water, and they can stand drying out before they receive a further watering. Okay, so our narcissus are done. They're a lot heavier with water in them. I'm going to move them over here to our side table so I can have a little bit of room for this big pot. And I'm going to start with this one. Now, I've placed a few more plants while I was there. I went a little plant crazy. I'm determined to conquer not my fear of houseplants, but my reputation around houseplants. Because what happens is that I get very excited about them in the wintertime, and when I'm pining for spring. And what happens is the minute the warm weather starts, I'm outside big time, and plants that are inside have a tendency to get ignored. And I'm of the belief that if you place your houseplant, you certainly can put your houseplants outside, but you have to be really careful about where you place them. Most of them, you'll burn them right up if you put them in. Even light that you think is not going to burn them will burn them. And so, and if you put them outside too, there's always the risk of insects eating away at them. Although outside my kitchen back door, there is a little roof top over that little porch. It's a tiny little porch, and it has a little glass table on it. And sometimes I'm able to place some houseplants out there, and they receive just almost the right amount of light. And if I watch them and keep them watered when they need watering, I can keep them over the summer. One of my favorite houseplants are the Rex begonias, and I was very proud of myself. I kept 2 going for a couple of years. Brought them in, take them out, brought them in, take them out. And but then other things started to happen, and you get distracted, and they didn't make it. But anyway, so what I've done so far is I've put a mix of small and large stone in the bottom of this pot. What I'm going to do first, I just happen to think, is I'm going to move this back over here, because I purchased some, I purchased some organic potting soil today, and which I'm going to be using to plant my succulents. And we'll start with those, and if we have time, we're going to move on to planting some of the larger plants. This is one that I've been determined to get for a long time. again, I'm going to massacre these names. Calathea. Houseplant names are not my expertise. I'm much more comfortable out with outside plants, perennials, things like that. So the first thing I'm going to do is, let's see, I need a pot, or a bucket, that is. And sorry to be off the camera here, a little unprepared today. I'm going to, since succulents like a really well-drained soil, I'm going to put in what the Brits call grit. So I have some grit here, which is like really, really fine stone. And you can use perlite and things like that as well. I have like a rather large bag of perlite that I could use too, but I think I'm going to use the grit. So let's see. I'm going to open this bag first. And while I'm doing this, I want to talk a little bit about, I've been questioned by a couple of people about the name of my channel, Designing with Mark. And they're wondering, I've been questioned, how did I come across that title? And I took some time to think about it. And I'm a very creative individual. I like to think that I am. And I think design can be anywhere. Design doesn't always have to be like interior design, where you're decorating your house or your inside space or whatever. Designing can be anywhere. So like when I'm doing my Christmas, that's designing. All my Christmas trees and so forth, that's designing. We run a rather large saltwater mixed reef tank, which grows corals as well as it has some rather large saltwater fish in it too. And when we were setting that tank up, a lot of design was involved in that, because there's you have to put a good amount of stone inside the aquarium first, and you're building little caves and so forth for the fish, and you're also trying to design places where you can put the coral to attach to as well. And gardening, this coming spring will be 10 years. Our front cottage garden, we started it in 2015. It's 2025, doesn't seem possible. And the most that we've done really is in the last 10 years, is testing out various plants and see which ones grow well. We're very, very fortunate. We have sandy loam all around the front, because it literally wraps around half of the house, the entire front and around the side, which I will be taking you on a walking tour of that in the spring. But this year, the goal this year is redesign. So there's design there too. And I have my own sort of approach to cottage garden planting, where, typically the tall plants go in the back, and the tall, medium, and low, and that looks kind of, to me, it doesn't, it can look okay, but to me it looks a little bit too planned. And a cottage garden is sort of, as the Brits would say kind of higgly-piggly, but I like higgly-piggly. And putting some of the taller plants right along the border, so they kind of flop over into the path. All of that creates drama, and which is what I like in the garden. So when I was thinking of this title, I said, well, it's all about design. It really is all about design. And my partner Andy was saying, well, you have to pick something that people are going to, if they're searching for something, they'll know, you have to be more specific. And I said, I don't want to be more specific. People will find the channel that will find the channel. It's not so far, the channel is so new. I mean, I just started it this, shortly after the first of the year, in earnest, really. I mean, we put in a few of the Japanese garden videos, two maybe, back at the end of the summer. And I realized, made them too long, it's people's attention span are not gonna, they don't, and I'm the same way. I mean, do you really want to necessarily follow sometimes I do, a 35-minute video? I think it depends. So design, it's all about design. And even with these houseplants, I was thinking, like, where, first of all, you have to think of a good place to put them. And so that they get that indirect light. They stay cool-ish. You don't want them to be under direct hot light or near too close to a heat source, like we have radiators throughout our house. So, design. That's what it's all about. Okay, I think that will do it. It's a good amount of grit. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is these plants will grow. They're slow growers, typically. I thought I had a few more than that, but I guess not. So let's toss in the soil. And also, speaking of my channel too, again, getting back to that, I always forget to say, put a like and subscribe. So I'll say that now. I do hear from a few people, which is exciting to me. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I'm trying to figure out maybe the tall one directly in the middle. These are tiny little plants. And I may have to loosen some of the roots a little bit, because as tiny as the pots have been, there we go. I ended up getting 2 of these. I bought some yesterday, and then I went back and I was looking through and I said, I wanted them all different, but I got 2 of the same. This one is Echeveria Harmsii. This little one in the middle, which I've never seen before, is Portulacaria Lilliput. I've never seen, I had never seen a succulent that looked like that before, so I said that's the one I want. Okay, so I'm going to put some more here. I know they always say don't plant too deep. I have a tendency, this is just my way of doing things. I know which plants you never want to plant too deep because you'll just really be sending it to its demise. But I'm not crazy about planting things high where they kind of almost stick out of the soil. Those, in my opinion, never make it. They're the ones who really don't make it. This is a crassula multicava, bleeding heart. This has little flowers coming from it already. I love it. So, okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so let me place these out so that I know which way I want them to go. No, I don't want that. Well, here we are back again. Another tiny glitch on that camera. I will master it, I'm determined. But I have finished, in the time that we have not been together, I have finished our bowl of succulents. Looks pretty nice, I think. I finished it off by putting some of the small pebbles around. That just kind of holds the plants down, especially if I do put them outside this summer. So I'm done with this. I'm going to move this to one side. And I'm going to show you some other planting that I have done. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plants that I have potted up. This one here, I'm going to try to think of the name of that again. I've had one before in past years, but it's in a medium low. I wanted all different kind of heights and different styles of pots. So I have this one, and the prayer plant I put into the bee pot, perfect size. Into my snail, which is a little dirty, which I have to clean off. I put the Fittonia in. And my favorite plant, which I've already forgotten the name of. These are kind of expensive at the local garden nurseries. Like $15 for a small plant in a pot that's about this size. And exponentially up from there, the larger the pot size. And then this cute little pot, me, that one of my students gave me. I now have hair with my fern hair. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these that will go, and my succulents. I'd love to be able to say my amaryllis, but sadly the last blossom went today and I've cut the stem off, and now I'm keeping my fingers crossed for more stems to appear. There's still 2 plants over here, 3 actually. My the color red Fittonia, which I think I want to put it into this green pot, but I'm saving this I think for Easter, because I do some Easter things. And but I know I have another pot that will go nicely into. This is one of the proven winners. It's Tradescantia. Is pot bound, as you can see. So I was going to put it into this pot. I probably still could. It has an inner liner which kind of takes up some room. I'm not really positive what I'm going to do with that. Or the croton would look nice in that as well. But I'm not going to plant those up right now. Saving some for another spot. So I wanted to share one last thing. I'll move these over. I haven't watered them yet. And I'm going to water them here down in the basement before I bring them up. And then I'll do a final shot in our reception room our beautiful little reception room where we have breakfast every morning, and the windows that let in wonderful light. But I do want to show you that I did get the sticks for my idea. So I found these, or I thought of these, and I'm thinking about, I don't know if you've ever seen like the rolled up fences that are kind of like temporary fences, or something that you might want to put around your garden or put up temporarily to keep out, animals or something. And they're kind of like the larger ones that are used as fencing are slats of wood that are kind of like woven with metal. So that's my idea. So my narcissus are upstairs. So I'm going to use this as an example because the pots that the narcissus are in are low. Now these have a pointy end. I was going to snip them off, but now I don't think I will. What I'm going to do is create a fence that's going to go around the stems to hold them together. And holding it up that much, I think, because this is at the bottom, I can feel it's at the bottom of the pot, is I think will hold, I'm hoping, hold those stems together. So I'm not going to take, this will take longer than I want the video to go, but I'm just going to show you my idea. And I've never done this before, so I don't know, it may fall flat. And I'm only going to maybe just get started with it. And it's just plain floral wire. I don't even know what gauge this is. It's fairly flexible. And I'm going to start, let's see, where would I start? I'm thinking of starting, maybe, I want to start at the top. And I'm just going to try to secure this. Now I may, when I go upstairs to process this film or this video, I may put a little daub of, and I mean a small daub, I may not even need it, it's pretty stiff right there, of hot glue. And open this up. So you get the idea, and it's just going to be like weaving. Like, in and out, and in and out, over, under, over, under, over, under. I think the first one is going to be the hardest. Now, this is trial and error, so I'm thinking I'm going to have to wrap it in order to hold it, because it's going to slip. And wrap it. Maybe not even, there's not much weaving if you wrap. But you get the idea, it's already holding together. I mean, even if it slips out a little bit, it's not going anywhere. Where is it going to go, And then, of course, that gives me an excuse to get some really pretty ribbon. I'm going to just go around that to knot it in a little bit tighter. Alrighty, so that's the start of it. And as you can see, oops, one even just fell out. But it goes right back in. Goes right back in. And the next one will go down once I find the circumference of the bowl, and I know how many I'm going to need of these. I have 100. Hopefully it's not going to take 100 to go around. I don't think it will. This bowl right here is about the size of that smaller blue and white bowl. And already 1, 2, 3, 4, just 5 alone goes that much. So I don't know, maybe half that much, maybe 50 will go. And so once I get around to the top, you know, once I've done across the top, then I'll go down about, I don't know, I think I'm just gonna have maybe 3 ties. So I'll go down about another 2.5 inches and I'll weave back through again, and then go down another 2.5 and weave back through again. And then I'll have that completed fence. And I'll be all set for when it's going to be about 4 weeks, they say, for the Paperwhites to be taught, you know, to get into bloom. So we've got a month. So it'll be probably the end of February at the very least, because they're only about that tall right now. I may, if I'm ambitious, work a little bit longer on this and then show you possibly what it looks like when I'm done. If not, it will be, I'll do an update on the Paperwhites, and hopefully, and it'll be done by then, as they're growing. You know, they don't flop generally until they are blooming. So we've got some time. We really have some time. So I will say goodbye till just until I get these things upstairs for the final shot.